going on, guys? Aaron here, and if you're new to my channel, this is not my first channel. I've actually had two other channels in the past, one of which went by the same name as this channel. That had about 600 subscribers. Lost that channel, somehow it got deleted. I didn't have access to it. And secondly, about 9 months ago, I created another channel under the name of Aaron117. And basically that channel, after getting a new phone, was not able to access that channel. And basically that's still up. You can find videos pertaining to primitive archery, cordage making, fire making with friction, as well as trap making and stuff like that. So in this video, I just want to kind of talk about bows and how to string them up and stuff like that. Now let me scoot back. This is my shagbark hickory Sudbury replica. So the bow's made from shagbark hickory. I cut it down about, well, the tree itself was about 4 inches diameter. I cut it down out in some woods in a national park and split it, let it cure for about 4 or 5 months. The moisture content dropped from 45% down to about 10%, which is still a little high for hickory. And that's why you see the bow has some set. It's not the most efficient bow, but it's still a lethal weapon. You know, it pulls 58 pounds at 28-inch draw length. Now the bow itself in length was originally 72 inches in length. I'm 6 feet tall, so this bow is literally as tall as me. But I went ahead and lowered the length down, which would help increase efficiency, because a lot of work is needed in the bow for longer limbs. And I went ahead and also basically reshaped the outer 10 inches of the limb to kind of reduce mass and help increase feet per second arrow velocity and help reduce hand shock, because this bow had a little bit of hand shock, even though it had the traditional Sudbury pinched in grip with a goat skin, vegetable tan goat skin wrap. Now there's quite a few ways to string up a bow, a primitive bow, and the thing that you need to realize the most with a self bow, a wooden bow, is that stringing that bow incorrectly can lead to future issues with the bow, or it could lead to permanent damage. You know, if you stress one limb more than the other, it could break the bow. It can also create more compression, stress on the limbs. It could make the bow take set. So it's very important to learn how to string a bow. Now there's quite a few methods like I just stated, and one of my favorite methods is the instep method, and this is more easy to do with a longer bow. Now with shorter bows, you know, you've probably seen videos where they pull the handle back and they push and slide the string up. This is really more suited for shorter bows like recurves and sinew back bows like that. Now you'll notice the string's pretty thick. This is an artificial sinew string, which as a bowyer, I do not recommend you use artificial sinew. Yes, it will work, but it does take quite a bit of stress. It will stretch. Once you string that bow up and the brace height is about 6 inches, after shooting about an hour or leaving it strung for 3 or 4 hours, the brace height will lower because of the stretch and elasticity of the string. So it will make a string, and that's why it's a little thicker. I put more strands to help reduce the stretching. At one end, I have the timber hitch, which is a common knot with bows. It's basically an adjustable knot. You know, if your brace height's too high and you need to lower it, you can adjust this timber hitch and basically get a lower brace height. So basically what I do is I have a permanent or semi-permanent knot at one end, and I have the Flemish twist loop on one end. So it's inside the bow. It's about 4 inches from the tip of the loop all the way up to the notches is where you kind of want it for a self bow, about 4.5, 3 inches, somewhere around there. Now, I'll show you. You want the bow at about a 45-degree angle, belly facing your left, or if you're a right-handed or whatever, opposite way. What I like to do is put my foot through the bow, and of course, like I said, a 45-degree angle, and keep your leg, you want your joint between your calf and your thigh muscle to be on the handle of the bow. Then while pushing in down with your leg, you want to use your right or left hand to push the opposite way to kind of get this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we have the strung bow. The string loop goes into the notches, and you've got yourself your primitive bow strung up. And like I said, this pulls about 58 pounds. It's a pretty decently heavy bow. I like to shoot about 50 to 60 pounds. Plenty sufficient for going hog hunting or deer hunting, which I plan to do sometime this year or next year. Some specs before I go back into it. You know, this is not the best looking bow. I do build a lot better bows than this. I just sold one recently, which I have pictures on Facebook. I'm going to be getting an Instagram, which I'll throw on there. But I call this the old ugly. You know, it's a Sudbury design. You know, it's replicated after the length, which is an inch longer than the original Sudbury. And if you're not familiar with the Sudbury bow, it's basically a longer bow that has pretty long fades. So it's thicker outside of the handle, and it has a very gradual pinched in grip. And this grip allows me for a more comfortable feel, as well as a more center shot arrow. So the arrow itself is not having the paradox around the grip as much. Now I do build D-style village bows, as I call them. Well, I actually picked up that term from Ryan Gill from one of his videos. The village bow, which is a fully bending bow, of course, more wood being in the grip, and a slightly pinched in grip just for more comfortability, because anything over 1.5 inches in width can throw your arrow off the target pretty bad. So a village bow being a fully bending bow about this length, about 68 inches or less, and it's got a really smooth draw, but a little bit more hand shock than a thick gripped solid bow or solid handled bow. But getting back to it, it has a snake skin backing, broadband water snake. I've killed about 10 months ago, and of course I ate the meat, and I went ahead and backed it with hide glue. It's got that goat skin, vegetable goat skin wrapping. It's a nice bow. You know, it's definitely gonna end up taking this hog hunting or deer hunting and all that good stuff. But anyways, getting back to it, to unstring the bow, same thing. You put your foot through, keep your bow at a 45-degree angle, and then push again with your right leg, and pushing this way, and you're going to use your thumb and finger to slide the string off the loop, or notches. And then there you have it. Like I said, this bow isn't as efficient. It took a lot of set due to mass as well as the moisture content. It was pretty high for hickory, and hickory is known to take a pretty big set. So that's that, getting to that. And I also wanted to talk to you about, because I'm just rambling on here, guys, and if you're patient enough to watch this video, you know, I'm just talking. You know, I have to work at 5, so I'm just kind of shooting stuff. But like I said, there will be more videos posted on various content, friction fire making, stuff like that. But here I have a handmade river cane arrow. It's cut some cane down about a year ago, and this is actually dry cane. And I took some sandstone and sandpaper, a combination of both, and smoothed down the nodes here, which you'll see on river cane. There's some nodes for a real nice smooth shaft. On the back end, I have turkey tail fletching, and I use deer sinew and hide glue to wrap these on. I've got a pretty fat knock as I make a little bit thicker strings, which you really don't want because that kind of slows down the feet per second on your arrows, but I still have pretty big knocks. The other end, I have a dogwood foreshaft that's been tapered and a Stevens steel trade point. I do build stone points, but it is pretty rare for me as I'm not as skilled in flint knapping as other guys are. I do make serviceable and functionable tools, but not works of art. So I have that detachable foreshaft with sinew wrapping, a razor sharp filed down broadhead. This is perfect for taking big game, you know, medium-sized game, turkey, hog, deer. You put that in the engine room of the animal, it's going to be dead. I also go into these. I also shoot, on occasion, I do shoot modern arrows. This is, I believe, aluminum, and it's got a nice mechanical broadhead. Now, these are razor sharp. Once they penetrate, they open up, and they just cut arteries and veins and muscle tissue and vital organs. And as far as maintaining my bow, you know, once I tiller a bow and get it strung up and shoot it a few times, I go ahead and I heat up a saucepan full of hog fat, deer fat, coconut oil, any natural oil, and I'll soak the bow in that oil over a period of several days until the bow is really well oiled. Then every week or so, depending on the humidity, I'll oil it with a nice coat of oil just to keep it maintained. You know, as far as stringing a bow, you don't want the bow strung for more than 6 hours. Most of my hunting expeditions, you know, when I'm sitting in a blind at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., you know, I usually get a shot or take a shot within that first 3 or 4 hours, or I don't. Or if I miss, I miss. You know, but always unstring your self bow, your wooden bow. Keep it in a dry, cool location. You don't want any humidity or rain. You want it to be flat on the ground, somewhere where it's cool and you always want to make sure that it's at least oiled once or twice a week. Anyways, guys, I have more videos coming. This is just kind of a new test. I did not realize with this phone quality that there's a 4K quality, so I'm trying to see about how it looks on YouTube and stuff like that. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. It was just kind of a basic video on general stuff. I'll post some more stuff soon. All right, guys.